pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call?
Councilmember Cooper.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Here.
Mayor Zielinski.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
Here.
Councilmember Szymanski.
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here.
Councilmember Pontiac.
Here.
City Manager.
Here.
City Attorney.
Here.
DPW Director.
Here.
Deputy Finance Director. Public Safety Director. City Engineer.
Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Citizens' comments on agenda-related items. Do we have any citizens who would like to comment on agenda-related items tonight? Yes, please come to the podium, state your name and address, please. Limit your comments to 5 minutes.
It won't take me 5 minutes. My name is Angela Tabor, and I live at 523 Second Street. It's not about an agenda item. It's about the meeting that was just held with the city.
There is a place at the end of the meeting to address that, ma'am.
Okay,
It's about agenda.
I'm not gonna stay for the whole meeting. I won't take up even a minute.
Okay,
I'm thankful that Jeff explained everything and that he did a fantastic job. I'm just hoping that the city will recognize that the homeowners need some help here. And, you know, there was talk of a lawsuit at the end, and I just hope that the city will look at the value of that versus claims. I thought it was very unprofessional that our city manager abruptly spilled out that none of our claims were gonna be paid by the insurance company because there was no negligence on the part of the city. I think that's the insurance company's decision, and I think the city needs to go above and beyond that, as I said at the meeting,
Okay,
to try to figure out how to work with the homeowners. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else would like to comment on agenda-related items? Seeing none, consent agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are in the consent agenda and considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to the approval of the consent agenda, any member of council may have an item from the consent agenda removed and taken up during the regular portion of a meeting. Consent agenda items include approval of minutes, cast ballot, quarterly financial update, quarterly investment update, notification regarding the next work session, consideration of Ragnar Racing to hold a rally race through the city of Manistee, consideration of a suicide awareness and prevention walk. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pontiac. Mayor Zielinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, consideration of ordinance 19-19, adding chapter 460, golf carts. Michigan law permits, subject to municipality authorizing the use of golf carts on streets of a city with a population of less than 30,000. The ordinance committee has reviewed ordinance 19-19 that would add chapter 460 to the city of Manistee codified ordinance and would allow the use of golf carts registered with the city of Manistee Police Department on city streets. Use of golf carts is subject to the restrictions established within the ordinance. As an ordinance, 2 separate readings are required. If this ordinance is introduced at this time, it could be adopted at the next regular meeting. At this time, council could take action to introduce ordinance 19-19, chapter 460, golf carts. Do I have a motion?
Yes. A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Everybody's just going to amend for insurance?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that we amend and add in a section that the operator and/or owner of golf carts operated pursuant to the ordinance shall maintain liability insurance protecting against damage and injury associated with the use of a golf cart, and that the owner-operator must show proof of liability as required in section 60.02N when registering with the city.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, or amendment, motion, and a second. Do we need to vote on the original amendment? Original motion.
I think you can vote first on the motion to amend, and then you can return if that's passed to the initial motion.
Okay, having a motion to amend, first and a second. Are you with us? Okay. Please take the roll.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
Yes.
Councilmember Pontiac.
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Chief, do you have something you need to say?
Just real quick, that came up from that last amended, I just wanted to have a discussion on the record with the attorney. If they don't have that after the fact, is that something that to be then enforceable under the ordinance, reference the insurance, liability insurance, if something occurred?
They have to have it in order to get registered by the city police department. And so if they have it and then they don't have it afterwards, I think they're in violation of their registration. So yes, I think we can enforce that.
I'll make that.
So where are we at, Mr.
Then
Smith?
we're on the initial motion as amended.
Okay, and we voted on that?
You have a motion and support, you just need to.
We need to
call the
vote
vote.
on that original.
Okay, please take the roll. Unless there's some discussion. Please take the roll.
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Pontiac.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of ordinance 19-20, amending chapter 866 medical marijuana facilities. The city of Manistee medical marijuana facilities ordinance permits up to 3 provisional centers under state law. A signal business may operate both a provisional center and a marijuana retailer at the same location. This means that 3 businesses could utilize all 6 provisional center permits and marijuana retail licenses. Initial interest suggests that the request for a provisional center permit and marijuana retail license will exceed what is currently authorized by the city ordinance. An amendment to chapter 866 is being proposed that would authorize an unlimited number of provisioning center permit. However, the number of parcels available in the marijuana sales overlay district is a limiting factor in how many provisioning center permits will be requested. The proposed amendment would also limit the duration of the provisional permit to 1 year. As an ordinance, 2 separate readings are required. This ordinance is introduced at this time. It could be adopted at the next regular meeting. At this time, council could take action to introduce ordinance 19-20, amending chapter 866 medical marijuana facilities. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion?
Again, I'd just like to mention that one of the reasons is this will make it easier, I believe, on the planning and zoning when it comes to deciding who gets these licenses. Right now, because of the limitation, we may have a real issue in selecting, and that would have some legal issues involved with, some liability issues with the city if.
Yeah, I could see that potentially happening. I mean, we've got this sort of race to the city clerk's office, so, yeah, and we've had people camped out at the county planner's office waiting for their office to open on these issues for the special use permit. So I could see that possibly being an issue, and this would eliminate that issue.
And also the fact that it is a very small overlay district that we're talking about, so it's not an unlimited amount that could actually fit in there. The property itself limits the numbers, correct?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
No.
Councilmember Pontiac.
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes,
Councilmember Grabowski.
No.
Motion approved.
thank you. Consideration of ordinance 19-21, amending chapter 867 recreational marijuana. The City of Manistee recreational marijuana ordinance authorizes up to 3 medical retailers. Under state law, a single business can operate both a provisioning center and a marijuana retailer at the same location. This means that 3 businesses could utilize all 6 provisioning center permits and marijuana retail licenses. Initial interest suggests that the request for a provisioning center permit and marijuana retail licenses will exceed what is currently authorized by city ordinance. Similar to the previous agenda item, an amendment to chapter 867 is being proposed that would authorize an unlimited number of marijuana retail licenses and marijuana micro businesses. However, the number of parcels available in the marijuana sales overlay district for these businesses is a limited factor in how many licenses will be requested. The proposed amendment also limits the duration of the provisional license to 1 year. As an ordinance, 2 separate readings are required. If this ordinance is introduced at this time, it could be adopted at the next regular meeting. At this time, council could take action to introduce ordinance 19-21, amending chapter 867 recreational marijuana. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Grabowski.
No.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Councilmember Poniak.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
No.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of ordinance 19-22, amending chapter 1420 State Construction Code. In 2015, the city eliminated local building inspection responsibilities and delegated that responsibility to the state of Michigan. City Council agreed to a contract with Safe Built to conduct all inspections, building, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical. For the city to resume handling building inspection responsibilities and to assume the responsibility of electrical, plumbing, and mechanical inspection, an amendment to chapter 1420 is required. The city attorney has prepared ordinance 19-20. This ordinance has been reviewed by the ordinance committee. As an ordinance, 2 separate readings are required. If this ordinance is introduced at this time, it could be adopted at the next regular meeting. At this time, council could take action to introduce ordinance 19-22, chapter 1420, State Construction Code. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please, go ahead.
I'll second. Already did.
Any discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Poniak.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes,
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
thank you. Consideration of the Manistee County Historical Museum picnic, historical talk in Reese Park. The Manistee County Historical Museum is requesting the use of Reese Park for a picnic and a historical talk on the history of the city of Manistee on Wednesday, August 14th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. At this time, council could take action to support and approve the use of the city's services in Reese Park, Manistee County Historical Museum, historical talk and picnic on Wednesday, August 14th, subject to appropriate department approvals. Do I have a motion?
Yes. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes,
Councilmember Szymanski.
Yes.
Councilmember Poniak.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton.
Yes.
Councilmember Goodspeed.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
thank you. Consideration of a purchase of a 1-ton dump truck. The 2019-2020 motor pool budget includes the purchase of a 1-ton dump truck. A quote was received from Jorgensen's Ford Sales under Michigan Deals contract for a F-450 pickup. And from Henderson Mark III dump body from Navkide in the amount of $57,495. The budget amount is $60,000. At this time, council could take action to approve the purchase of the F-450 pickup and dump body from Jorgensen Ford Sales in the amount of $57,495.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I've got one question. On the sale, we're gonna be selling the replacement truck?
Yes.
About what's the estimated value of that truck?
I have no idea. I would guess around $5,000.
And that goes to the motor pool?
Yeah, whenever we sell equipment that, that we're replacing, the proceeds go back into the motor pool fund.
What would that motor pool fund be used, then what would that money be used for?
The motor pool fund, along with contributions from each department on an annual basis, then goes back and buys additional vehicles, such as this one.
Thank you.
Jeff, what is this 1-ton dumpster to be used for, truck?
It replaces a truck that is similar in size. We use it for, all during the summer, we use it for our leaf haul, the lawn bags. And then also, when we open up roads, it hauls concrete, asphalt, it hauls gravel, sand. It is not being designed as a snowplow truck because it's a smaller vehicle. So during the wintertime, we hook the hot patcher to it so that when we're patching the highway and other streets and such, it gets used that way.
Okay.
And some of these trucks, what do the kids run into, the poles or something? Why do these trucks have dents and dings in them?
Well, we're keeping a lot of them for 15, 20, 25 years, so unfortunately, they do collect some body damage.
So this is a cash purchase, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And we budgeted in the fiscal year budget as a cash burden.
okay. That's all.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. McCullough. Have a first and second. No further discussion. Please take the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton,
Yes,
Councilmember Goodspeed,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes,
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Pontiac,
yes,
motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of Downtown Development Authority bylaw amendments. The Manistee Downtown Development Authority took action at their July 10th, 2019 meeting to review and approve changes to their bylaws. A copy of the bylaws showing proposed amendments has been attached. Amendments provide additional clarification and updates to the bylaws to coincide with recently revised Chapter 282 of the Code of Ordinances. At this time, council could take action to approve amendments to the bylaws of the Manistee Downtown Development Authority and authorize the mayor to execute the document.
I will make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I'm glad to see it on the agenda.
It's been a long time coming.
Exactly.
No other further discussion, please take the roll.
Councilmember Grabowski,
yes,
Councilmember Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Pontiac,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Beaton,
Yes,
Councilmember Goodspeed,
yes.
motion approved.
Thank you. Notices, communication, announcements. A report from the utility department. A regular part of each council meeting is a report from a cooperating agency, organization, or department. At this time, Mr. Brickmore will report on the activities of the utilities department and respond to any questions the council may have regarding the act. Nothing is required for this item.
I'm Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
Me and Rick tag team the utilities, so I'm on the water, and I'm gonna give the annual state address of the water department. Just gonna go through what we do basically, obviously, water towers. Our staff, it hasn't changed recently. Kathy Boyle's the secretary with 43 years of service. I believe Cindy's the only one that beats her in time here. Sean Taylor's still with us for 8 years. James Riley, it's his 4th year, and I've been here for 18 years now. And to go through what we do, we pump water, and last year we pumped 295 million gallons. That was 1 million more than the previous year. It's been a downward trend for probably the last 8 years or so. Water-saving devices is the main culprit. The 1970 toilet flushed 5 gallons. The new ones flush 1.8. It's about a 70% savings right there. We also read water meters. We do about 4,200 meters every month. Most of them are collected with a roaming collector. We have a brand new one. It's not installed in our truck yet. Hopefully that'll be done this summer still. We flush, maintain, and pump out over 350 hydrants that's in the distribution system. I try to do my best to hit every hydrant on an annual basis just to make sure it operates. With the help of the fire department, we get them all winterized by the November usually. We also do a valve exercising program. We have almost 1,000 valves in the water system. My goal is to do 25% of the year. I have a really hard time reaching that right now, but I'm still trying, and I will get there one of these days. We also are connected to the Filer water system, if you didn't know that, by 2 valves. They're in the shut position. But in case of emergency from either side, we can open those valves up and feed them, or they could feed us. One's at 15th and Maywood, and the other one's on Main Street, just south of Forest. On a daily basis, we do service calls, including misdigs, high bill investigations, repairing meters, water quality issues, compliance sampling, chemical addition, some record keeping, and after-hours alarms and service calls. We also maintain water mains. We have over 53 miles of water main in the city, and we've been averaging about 2 main breaks a year now. When I started, we were averaging 1 a month, and ever since the real cold year of 2013 and 14 back-to-back, we had massive breaks, and I think that found all the weak spots in the system. And good to go right now. That's a picture of a main break. The bottom slide is a 6-inch pipe that's a 2-foot crack on top. That pipe had froze and expanded. One of the most important things we do quality assurance. We perform daily laboratory analysis to ensure water quality. It's about safe drinking water in the end. I do an annual cross-connection program where I go into businesses looking for potential sources where non-potable water can get back into a potable water supply. Basically, boiler systems, if it's connected to an ice machine, stuff like that. Just make sure it's got the right protective equipment onto it. I do the annual water quality report. Everybody has one of these. They're at various locations throughout the city, everywhere from the hospital to the courthouse. Has got them, and you can also find it on Facebook and at manisteemi.gov. We do a wellhead protection program. Rick and I have taught, I want to say it was an 8th grade class last spring, and we took them for, we showed them how groundwater works, and then I took them for a little trip through the well house, and they really enjoyed that. It's about educating the public of help keeping your water safe. Basically, don't dump your drain oil in the catch basin, like I was taught when I was a kid. New regulations, and this is all because of the Flint thing. I've talked about this for years. A new regulation just started July 1st for us. It's WQP sampling. It's water quality perimeter sampling. The state is looking to find out, they want a picture of what is the chemistry of our water, what do we have for water lines and water mains. So to do this, every 14 days I have to pull a sample from each well. We have 4 active wells in the system. If I sent those out to a lab, it would cost $4,000 a year to have those tested. The equipment shown in the picture costs us just about $3,000, and that tests the equipment, right? That performs the tests. Nothing will be done for at least a year and a half, and this state's going to take a snapshot of every city, and they want to make sure that we're adding the right amounts of chemicals to prevent anything from happening again. The dreaded lead and copper sampling. We were on a triennial basis for lead and copper sampling. But again, not our fault. Now, starting this year, we have to do lead and copper sampling every year from here on out. And also after this year, the action level for lead and copper both drop, and we lose our 90th percentile. So you will see, instead of results being 0 ppb, you will probably see a point in there next year. My current project, this is my big one. Last spring, about 15 months ago, we were selected for the pilot program. We were one of 18 communities that were selected to do this. The state gave us some grant money, and it's basically the identification of service material. What's your water line coming into your house? I know the mayor has a galvanized line on his side. On the city side, it's a 1-inch copper line from the sewer separation in 2012. But I don't know the rest of the 2,999 out there, so that's what we've been doing. So with the money that was given to us, we had 15 months to perform the work. That, by September 30th, that money will be used up. But going on forward, I have 5 years to do a complete system inventory. Like I said, I got about 3,000 lines that I have to, what are we doing? What's out there? What kind of line? What size is it? And you'll see us, I'm just about, by the end of this calendar year, I want to be finished with the complete north side. And then I'll move to the south side of the river. But that's what we're doing right there. We are vectoring where the curb stop is. You see in the picture as I'm looking at it to the right, that's a curb stop. There's a valve at the bottom. That's where we control water going into your house. What's on each side of that line? One part's going into it, one part's going out to the water main. And that's what we're looking for. Any questions? I talk quick.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, go ahead. You can go ahead first.
Did that storm cause a lot of problems for you?
Not for the water, no. We had some electrical issues, but no. Overall, everything's good.
I have a few questions.
Yes.
The water testing that you do in the city, is that comparable to the water testing that the health department does or sends or gets results from on wells outside the county? I'm particularly interested in seeing if they have a shortage of contractors who do the point of sale inspections.
Right.
So I'm kind of thinking that if they could do the water sampling at the city level, it may or may not be acceptable. I don't know if you've had any conversations with the health
When
department.
there's a problem with a well, like a private well out in the rural area, the first sample you're gonna be pulling is a back T sample.
Right,
And
nitrates.
Mr. Rick Moore is able to test that sample at his laboratory. And I know we've just broken ice on this program, basically. So all of my testing that I gather from the wells or everywhere else, my distribution system, fire department, everywhere, I take to his lab and his guys test it, and we're basically looking for a coliform bacteria is what we're looking for.
Right, I know what you're
Yeah.
looking for. But I'm thinking that it might be a good conversation for the city to think about having with the health department. Because I can tell you right now, because of recent sales throughout the county, for people who are on private wells and septic systems, for example, one of our primary vendors or contractors that we use to do all the testing for that is now 6 weeks out.
Oh, yeah.
So if we could break that down and make that process easier, it might be worthwhile business sideline for the city as well as being helpful to people who are getting that testing done and the health department.
I'll shed a little extra light on that when I do my presentation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I had a question. You were mentioning on the service line pilot program. So if you come and you find that you have copper and then galvanized, what happens then?
So if I find copper on your side and the public side, the city-owned side is galvanized, we are replacing it as we go along. That's why this is kind of a slow process. One day, or I'll open it up and there's a leak down there. We found quite a few of those. Well, we got to repair it at that time. So if I find copper on your side and the city side has galvanized, we're replacing it. So copper, copper. If I find copper on the city side and galvanized on the homeowner side, I'm writing it down. We're taking inventory. What do you have down there? And then we know, as of right now, that's how it's going to stay unless you ever want to upgrade to it. If we find a lead service line or a lead gooseneck on the city side, then we are responsible for replacing that line all the way in, and we have found one.
How about if you have galvanized on the city side and galvanized on the homeowner side?
Just taking inventory right
You're
now.
not gonna replace any of it
It
then?
would take us a long time and a lot of money. Yeah.
So as a homeowner, just so that people understand this, because there's so much interest in it lately, are we responsible, homeowners are responsible from their house to the street for their water line?
In most cases, yes, unless we find a lead service line or a lead gooseneck on our side. Yes.
Which is different from the sewer,
Yep.
because the total
Correct.
responsibility, from what I'm understanding, is from the homeowner to the shut-off in the street someplace, or whatever that is.
It's in the brow between the curb and the sidewalk for the water.
And then the follow-on, so if I, as a homeowner, let's say it's galvanized coming to the
Meter.
station here, whatever the
Shut off.
the shut-off, and I replace my side with copper, then you're gonna come back in and replace the rest with copper as
I
well?
usually work with the contractor and we do it the same day or shortly right after.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, good evening. Hi, Mayor, Council. I have the great opportunity to do the wastewater annual report. Interesting report, I think, to give after a meeting we had just a couple hours ago. But lots to cover, so we'll kind of get right into it. Hello?
The down button.
Okay, some of these pictures you've probably seen before, but this is a aerial photo of the treatment plant taken a few years ago. It was a really nice day, the day they took that photo. One thing that's gonna really change in the next couple of years here is towards the top of the picture where the blue tank is, we are purchasing 10 acres from Morton Salt to install the new headworks and the retention basins to handle all the sewer, excess sewer, stormwater that's coming into the treatment plant. And this here, of course, is just a comparison of our influent and effluent. And the raw sewage, of course, is on the left side. The effluent is on the right. That's what we're putting in the lake. Plant does a pretty good job. It's performing really quite well. In 2018, we treated 439 million gallons of wastewater. For the first 3 years that I've been here, we treated about 1 million gallons per day. And in 18, that bumped up to 1.2 million. So 1,215,500 gallons a day is what we treated in 2018. And with a plant capacity of 1.3 million, theoretically, we're looking at 94% of the plant's capacity that was used at that time. This is a graph that shows the last 5 years of treatment. And as you can see, in 2014, we ran 423 million. And then in 15, 384, 2016, 371 million. And then in 2017, 394 last year, as I mentioned. In 2018, 439 million gallons. And this year, the way the flows are going, we're gonna be running a lot more through the plant than what you see in that graph. Well, the treatment plant is staffed 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then on the weekends, we've got it down to a minimum number of hours to accomplish the minimum that needs to be done. We operate and we maintain 15 lift stations throughout the collection system. Filer Township was added just this past year, brings us up to 15. So we operate the various processes that you see in the influent area, the primary treatment and so forth, take care of the grounds and the facilities and so forth. We do operate and maintain about 62 pumps and 5 blowers throughout the collection system and the wastewater treatment plant. I've been with the city now for 4 years, a total of 45 years experience, multiple licenses. Randy Hunt's been with us for 26 years, and he has a D license. Brian Moore's been with us for 2 years now, and he's working on getting his D license. Trace Lindeman, he's our new guy, and we hired him 4 months ago after Gabe Walker left us back in December. He went to Wade Trim. So we have a combined experience of about 73 years operating the plant. We do a lot of laboratory work. You know, we have one man in the lab all day. He just does lab tests, and there's a lot of lab work to do. There are 8 tests that are mandated in our NPDES permit, and all the tests, procedures, follow standard methods that are set by Eagle and EPA. Again, remember that it's no longer DEQ, it's Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. SOP, Standard Operating Procedures, have been written for each test that we perform to ensure consistency with the staff that's doing them. Being we have really a changeover in personnel from time to time, it's good to have consistency with whoever comes into the laboratory. And so it's really important to have those standard operating procedures. Tests that we do include the BOD test, which is pictured. We do total suspended solids, volatile suspended solids, ammonia, phosphorus tests, fecal coliform, E. coli, pH, DO. The phosphorus test is pictured there. In addition to that, we have a lab quality assurance program. And the purpose of the lab QA/QC is to ensure that the data coming out of our laboratory is accurate and the best that we can produce. And so the guys do many extra tests each week just to ensure that the work that we're doing is accurate. Lots of extra tests that are done. These tests that are mentioned here are really for the most part, the activated sludge process. The activated sludge process is a very labor-intensive process and takes a lot of lab work and so forth, and these extra tests are done to run that facility. We also do additional testing at times, and we have an SSO, sanitary sewer overflow. There are 5 different locations that we sample for E. coli bacteria. And we're just trying to ensure that the untreated sewage, or that was discharged, doesn't adversely affect the receiving water. So places that we've chosen to really sample include just south of the plant, the 9th Street boat launch, just north of Morton Salt, Arthur Street boat launch, across the lake at Penny Park, and then at the First Street boat launch. Laboratory certification. Okay, Linda, this is where this kind of comes in, what you're asking. Mm-hmm. We are a certified laboratory for total coliform. We're certified by Eagle. And I sent out letters. We were certified about a year ago, and I remember sending out letters to all the real estate companies and the health department, informing them that we are certified. So if you have real estate closures that need testing for bacteria, we're certified to do that. And we have bottles and so forth that they can pick up. It's $25 fee to have a test done, but you can have the results in 24 hours instead of sending those to Lansing or somewhere and getting them back in 3, 4, 5 days. So this is really a pretty good service, and it's good.
It's got one catch in it though.
What's that?
And that is that you have to be on the list. The person taking the water sample has to be on their list as someone who's certified to take it. So I can't just go in and take a water sample for a customer and bring it to you for testing. So that's the one caveat. So that's why I think it would be worthwhile if the city talked to the health department, because I think we could probably I think they could get other contractors on there that they trust, to go and do that. Like home inspectors, for example, comes to mind. They could take the sample while they're doing a home inspection.
Well, that's true, but if you have someone certified take the sample, we can still run the analysis.
Well, I understand that. They can't run the analysis, but they need to be the ones that take the sample and bring it or send it to a lab for the testing. It can't just be anybody to do that. It's got to, so that's where we need that connection made.
We can still cut down the time frame that's taken.
Right.
From 20 or 24 hours from whatever it takes to go to DEQ. But it's really, this is a good service that I think the city has, and it really has helped Bruce in getting his results when he needs them in a hurry. This is just some equipment that we purchased to be a certified lab, the incubator, some samples that are in the incubator. And then on top of that, we have a PMP for total mercury, which is a pollutant minimization program. Our NPDES permit has a program goal in it of less than 1.3 nanograms per liter, which is parts per trillion. and the average for 218 was 210, or 2.10, and compared to 1.2 that we had in 17. And we really related that to when the plumbers was in last year doing sewer cleaning, kind of stirred things up, and mercury sits there, doesn't just flow all the time because it's so heavy. That it really was stirred up, and we received some of it. So this year, so far, we're well under 1 part per trillion, so we're doing very well in Manistee with our mercury minimization program. We have a formal maintenance program. This helps us keep track of all the maintenance duties. The plant and all the pump stations are broken down into weekly, monthly, semi-annual, or whatever segment. And so everything in the plant or the pump stations are looked at, worked on somewhere throughout the course of the year, not neglected. And it's helped tremendously in keeping control of the maintenance and downtimes and so forth with the equipment. The maintenance program is also being added to the city program that the city is incorporating, and this will help us keep track also of our maintenance, the assets, and the replacement costs, everything that's related to the assets management program. Land application of digested biosolids. Last year, we land applied 918,000 gallons of biosolids, and we applied that over 50 acres of farmland that's owned by a couple of farmers that have property south of town. And the biosolids, it's got a great nutrient value. It's a good soil conditioner. And the farmer likes getting the product because he received 215 pounds of nitrogen for every acre that we applied on, and 294 pounds of phosphorus. So he received a really good product that he could cut back on his fertilizer needs. And so he got a good product, and we got rid of the material that we need to. So it was a win-win for both of us. We had a number of completed projects for last year. Cherry Street Pump Station was on the list, and we put a new control panel at that station. That's the picture of front and back. That was about a $40,000 project. The old panel was starting to really sag, and it was giving us issues and so forth. And this is a very nice panel. It's working extremely well for us. We replaced the sludge pump. This here pump is 40 years old. Just like the rest of the plant's 40 years old. It's right up there. But this here pump has given us a lot of maintenance issues, leaking, making a big mess. We replaced it with a new pump like this one here. This was a $60,000 project. Everything's expensive, no matter what we do. It costs a considerable amount of money. That pump's doing a great job for us. And then the Oaks Correctional Facility, we put a new bar screen in. The old bar screen, you can see, was falling apart, decayed, and so forth. And we put a new stainless steel bar in. That was about $8,500 for that project. Then lastly, Joslin Cove, we can't see really much by just looking at it, but the upgrades were great. We did an electrical upgrade, went from single phase to 3-phase power, and we installed new pumps in the pit. We had just a lot of problems with single phase power and different issues, and those have been corrected now with 3-phase and new pumps, so that's really great for us. Of course, we did a few painting projects, which I'm known for, and the exterior of the digester building was painted, and that looks really nice now, and the doors and so forth. So all the buildings at the plant and doors and so forth have been painted on the exterior, and they look really quite nice. We also painted the chemical feed room, the boiler room and piping, blower room, and the aeration tank handrails. This is how they look today. So they look really quite nice. And so we're really getting there. We've come a long way in the last 4 years in getting things spruced up. Some upcoming projects in this budget here, 1920. We're looking at adding a generator at the Arthur Street pump station and adding some new pumps. We're going to add a VFD, or a variable frequency drive, to this blower that's pictured. The one in the background there already has a VFD, and that's working really good in conjunction with the DO probe. It really controls the speed of the blower, cuts down on the power usage, and by adding a VFD to this blower, we should have a payback in about a year. Then we'll be saving a considerable amount of energy and cost by doing that. Some more painting. We'll try to get the basement of the digester building done, and then the basement of the service building as well. They both need painting. Long-range projects that we're looking at doing here include the retention basin Of course, for the SSOs, we're gonna upgrade our SCADA system and renovate our laboratory. So in the picture that I showed, aerial photo, you know, this is the same property that's north of that blue tank, that 10 acres. We're looking at putting the retention basins there and the new headworks building. This is our architects, or, you know, Spicer drawn this here, give it a good indication of what those tanks are gonna look like. Look at the size of those tanks compared to really the rest of the plant. These are gonna be 2 million gallons each, with a total of 6 million gallons, and then the new headworks building as well. The SCADA, I mentioned, we're gonna upgrade that there. This is the way it looks. It operates, gives us a number of problems. It's quite old, and we're gonna just upgrade, modernize that, a little more color, make it more user-friendly and different things. And then our lab is 40 years old. It needs, it just needs to be reworked. So new cabinets, new lighting, new flooring, and so forth will be installed in that. Sanitary sewer overflows. I just want to briefly touch on those. As we've all heard, SSO number 18 is the only active outfall that we have. And in 18, we had 12 overflows compared to 9 in 17. The number of events really is completely dependent on the amount of rain and the amount of snow that we get in a year. So this here graph here shows you that in the last 5 years, we've gone all the way from 14 to almost 30 million gallons, you know, down to last year only 15 million gallons. And that's really good. This year, unfortunately, Mother Nature has not been real kind to us, and we've had 6 overflows and almost 31 million gallons. So I guess I see a bright light at the end of the tunnel. And what we have is, you know, the project coming in with the overflow tanks. And once those are installed and so forth, this SSO thing at 18 is gonna go away. We won't have to deal with that. So it adds a light at the end of the tunnel that we can really look forward to eliminate this kind of a problem that we've had to deal with. Manistee Lake is, in the inflow, is something else that we're really dealing with. According to numbers that I talked over with Sean just yesterday, the lakes, like Lake Michigan, has over the last year and a half or whatever length of time, has risen 31 inches over its average. And since January of this year to now, it's risen 22 inches. So 22 of those 31 inches, the lake has risen just this year from January to now. And with that, we have a lot of water from the lake entering our sanitary sewer. We usually have water at an SSO. We have the water overflowing the weir going out to the lake when there's an SSO. Sanitary sewer overflow goes out to the lake. With the lake so high, the water's coming back, the same pipe, but overflowing the weir, coming into our plant. So since May 8th, we have treated flat out 2 million gallons. We can show you the graphs that we have, and the plant purrs right along at 2 million gallons. It's doing a great job. One of my first slides showed that last year we treated 1.8 million gallons. And with treating 2 million today, that shows us that about 800,000 gallons every day is coming in from the lake that we're treating and putting out. Eagle doesn't like that. They don't want us doing that. We don't want to do that. It's costing us a lot of money and a lot of problems. So we have been in discussions, I think it's already been mentioned, and we're in discussions with Eagle, Spicer, and the city on how we can really control this, how we can correct that. Raising the weir is one thing we're looking at, and we're still in discussions, and hopefully that'll take place very soon. Last slide I got is public relations and education. We did give tours last year. I love giving tours to people who really want to see the plant, what's going on. A lot of people flush the toilet, out of sight, out of mind. They really don't care. But, there's a lot that goes along with it. And so we did give tours to kids. They were 8th graders. We gave about 4 tours to those. And then other individuals that came through in groups. And so I believe education, personally, is really important to keeping the public informed and letting them know what's going on to our plant, in the community, out in the lake and so forth. So education for me and public relations is a real must. So with that, I'll take any questions if anybody has a question for me.
I have one. after the event, how did the E. coli test turn out?
The E. coli where we tested,
Yeah,
they all came, they exceeded the limit of 300.
and has that gone down now?
Oh, it's gone down. Within 2 days, it was back down. Yep, and I don't equate that, honestly, to our overflows, because every place that was tested, they were extremely high. And, but when you look at even down towards 9th Street, there's geese all over the place. And with that kind of rain, everything's washed in, everything's stirred up. Many, many factors could affect that. So we did notify the health department, and they posted those 3 locations, the docks, and they also posted, I think, the beaches, because their numbers came out high as well. And within 2 days, the numbers came down, because we sampled on Monday, health department was on Tuesday, their numbers came out good on Wednesday, and we sampled on Thursday, so we knew everything was good by Friday for the weekend for anyone coming in, and our numbers were well within range again. So yes.
When you're talking about the raising the weir and the timeline to prevent the lake water coming in, can you kind of give us maybe from Spicer Group an idea of what kind of timeline and cost we're going to be associated with that?
On the costs, we're talking to Plumbers Environmental. It's a contractor we've worked with in the past. They actually done some of the lining or the televising work in the city and lined some manholes. And they're set up where it's a very enclosed environment, and so this is a lot about safety. And so they're looking at it, and they're supposed to be getting us a price here in the hopefully the next week here. And from there, we're having discussions, because one of the things that's happening right now, of course, the lakes are coming back down, and Eagle is kind of giving us 2 different answers. One guy's saying, hey, we waited out, we don't have to do anything to the spring. Somebody else is saying, let's get that taken care of right away. So we're trying to get the pricing first, so we know what the price point is, and then we'll get back to Eagle to finalize.
I would also point out, the higher the weir, the greater chance of us backing up sewers. So we're trying to put all those factors at play, and we'll make a decision in the near future.
Today, it's about 2 to 4 inches over the top.
Oh, yeah,
To give you
yeah.
a sense of it.
A little over 2 inches, almost 2.5.
Did that does that have any effect on what happened with our backups?
Does what happen?
Our backups, our sewer backups, did the fact we're taking in the lake water into our system have any effect?
The whole
Did it aspirate the system? Did it make it worse?
yes, it made it worse. Yeah, and with all the rain that came in, wow, everything was just hydraulically overloaded. Yeah.
It made it worse, Your Honor. However, we have emergency response procedures that mitigated that. So by opening the plant up to 3 million gallons a day, we pushed as much through the plant as we could to relieve the lower portions of the sewer system. And then we also did bypass pumping directly to the lake. And I think you saw on the picture that we showed that there were very, very few basement backups within that quarter-mile of the plant.
So I get asked a lot, especially after the backup, why did we add Filer Township to our water, especially if we were at 94% capacity? And I don't have an answer for that.
Well, Filer Township adds about, 15,000 gallons a day. It isn't a tremendous amount. And also when we lost some of, I think, Manistee Township that went out towards the tribe, it was just about a wash from what we lost there to what we gained. So there wasn't an overload. That didn't at all cause any kind of an overload whatsoever in our system, if that's what you're wondering. No, it did not add anything much to it.
Does the prison cut back on some of their water?
I'm sure they probably do because of so much water. Bruce would know that for sure, how much they cut back.
Well, the prison's very consistent. They use 100,000 gallons a day, every day.
They're our biggest customer.
It used to be about 50% higher than that, and they installed a number of low flow measures and flushing restrictions that brought that down substantially about 6 years ago.
I thought so.
Lakes.
I understand while you're up, I'll just ask the question. I understand we have an emergency dump at the plant, that when we get in a bind, we have systems overloading, we can dump it. Is that true? Right? We can start dumping water right in? Or sewage water, or what?
I'm not
I'll
sure how.
answer that. The permit that we have allows for the overflow at SSO 18. Because that overflow is essentially flooded right now with lake water, the state required us to come up with additional procedures in order to relieve the system to try to protect basements. So we are not officially allowed to open up that plant to 3 million and blow that through, and we are not allowed to do direct discharges to the lake. But what we have been told is, we're not gonna permit you to do that, but you need to do that, or whatever else relief there is, in order to try to protect the public health.
Okay, so for some reason, I guess I'm having a dumb day because it makes no sense to me. If we have, don't we have to have a way to put relief on that system? Or this is just gonna keep repeating itself over and over? Do we have a way to, can we build a bigger relief valve so that we can relieve that pressure sooner?
The ultimate relief is the new headworks, the new pipeline to the plant, and the storage facility. That's planned for next year's construction season. In the interim, and through our permit, we have an overflow of SSO 18. So when there's too much water in our sanitary sewers, it's relieved out through the storm sewer. The problem is the lake levels have risen up and have taken away the ability for us to push water out of that storm sewer. So our immediate and current emergency relief is to pass as much through the plant as we can, and then if that still doesn't relieve enough of that pressure, then we have to set up pumps to bypass from the actual collection system into the lake. And we tried to do that during that Saturday, the July 20th storm event, but the storm sewers were completely full and actually were coming out of the surface, so we had to do a direct discharge as opposed to putting it back into the storm.
Right into the lake, yeah.
Are they going, when we do the holding facilities, are they gonna be installing a large pipe that would actually act as a storing facility also?
So,
Is it gonna be a huge pipe? What?
so right now from SSO 18 all the way to the treatment plant is a 36-inch pipe. We will be building a new 48-inch pipe so that we've got a larger means of conveyance to the plant. The plant will take the rated capacity, so we can pass 2 million gallons through the plant. Any water that is coming in excess of that 2 millions will spill over a weir at the new headworks, and then we will fill those storage tanks. If we get a massive event that exceeds what the design capacity is, then there's a bypass before the headworks that will take that well, it's actually after the headworks, that will take the extra sewage after it's been settled and will discharge it through a disinfection process, and then it will go out to the lake. So that will be the ultimate emergency relief.
I'm looking for some redundancy. Like, if you put in large pipes and you start backing up, that becomes a storage area also, doesn't it not?
Correct.
So the larger the better, right?
Correct.
Jeff, I could add to that if you want me to, just to put it, because I'm an engineer, so I like numbers. To put it in perspective, I mean, with the headworks, we're gonna put in 4 pumps, they're gonna be 5,000 gallons per minute each. And so the water that's pulled towards the plant, we're designing for 3 of those to be running, so it's 15,000 GPM, that's equivalent of 21 million gallons a day. So the plant today is rated at 1.3. We're gonna be throwing water up into these tanks at the rate of 21 million gallons a day, filling those up. So we're gonna be way ahead on our ability to convey. Now those will fill up very quickly, and the idea is we will pump through those tanks and we'll go out the far side of them. And when we go through that, they're gonna go through screening, they're gonna be settled in each tank, and at the end, we're gonna be mixing chlorine in that last tank to disinfect, and that'll discharge. So the capacity to move water is gonna be going from 2 million gallons to like 21 million gallons a day. But if we have NOAA's flood and we can't keep up with the 21, an extra pump can kick in and we we go up to about 28 million gallons. If we can't keep up with that, then there's gonna be a redundant overflow in that headworks that would allow water to directly flow up to the lake to protect basements. So that's the stopgap absolute measure we'll be doing is if we have more, if we can't handle 28 million gallons a day, then it'll start flowing to the river directly before it gets deep enough to flood basements.
So with all that redundancy in place, is there still a possibility that we could have backups in our basements?
Absolutely, because upstream, it could be driven by pipe size. If the pipes can't handle it way upstream, there's smaller pipes, and they can't get through there because there's a lot of inflow, then you can still have a backup. We're gonna design it so we can take it, but we gotta also get it there. And the system is absolutely designed for sanitary flows. We've showed that with modeling, the DEQ is 100% agrees with us, that wastewater is no problem in the city of Manistee. It's inflow. It's stormwater and groundwater. That's the issue.
Thank you for taking time to answer my questions.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Concerns and comments. Citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvements. Citizens in attendance shall be recognized by the mayor for comments, limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Do I have anybody who'd like to make a comment? Thank you. Please state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Well, council, my name's Paul Glasser, 253 Fifth Street, and luckily I got to hear your annual report again. Thank you. I'm here as a citizen of Fifth Street, and talking about myself. In the last year or so, there's been 3 hit and runs on my street. Not counting the 4 cars that have knocked the rear view mirror off my truck. So let's say 7. So what I'd like for the city of Manistee to do would put a closed gate on Fifth Street going west, because it seems like that's where they're coming from. They're coming from the east side of town, going west on Fifth Street, running into cars. I don't know if anything's been done about it, civilly, or criminal, whatever you call it. But that's what I would like. I'd like a gate to go down at night, bring it back up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And if you want, I'll do it myself. Put the gate there, I'll put the gate down. I'll pick it up in the morning. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Judy Stocky, and I live on Harrison Street. And last planning commission meeting, there was quite a crew in here. And I don't even know if this is a time where I could get any of the city input, but there is a large group of concerned citizens about the development of Olson Lumber Company into multi-unit housing development. And I'm just wondering right now if anybody here could enlighten us as we proceed with trying to gather more information, if the city is going to be having a say on this, and where the input for the city will be on this new development.
If you would put your information in writing to me,
Okay,
or to any city council member, ask what information you're looking for,
okay,
be specific. We'll refer to our city manager for a response.
okay. So as far as like work sessions, are those closed typically to people coming in?
No.
They are open?
Or,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Officials and staff. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, as council is aware, the Hollander Development Corporation had been retained by the Housing Commission to act as their developer for the RAD program. I don't know, 10, 14 days ago, the Housing Commission notified Hollander Corporation that they were, in essence, severing that relationship. Hollander Corporation filed an appeal of that decision, and I talked with Joe Hollander from Hollander Development this morning, and that appeal was denied. So they're no longer involved in the Housing Commission's RAD program. So I just want to bring that to council's attention.
Thank you. City Attorney?
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Finance? Thank you. City Engineer, do you have anything further? You've been talking a lot tonight.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Public Safety? Have I missed anybody? Let me see.
DBW.
Oh, DPW, yes.
I think I've talked plenty this evening, so nothing.
Thank you. Ms. Pontiac?
I got nothing.
Mr. Kowalski?
Well, I see they're getting pretty close to getting 12th Street done. They're finishing some of the driveways and they have to raise some and lower some. And, so they should be putting on the final coat pretty soon, I hope. Thank you.
Mr. Samansky, do you want to pass them out now?
All right.
Sure. I don't know what happened, but we sure do have a pile of cards, birthdays and so on. Boy, oh
What
boy.
about us? You just,
I will get to you.
we're gonna do this.
We're not gonna
Police
forget.
Department.
44 years.
No.
Or is it 4 years?
It's birthday card.
He's 44 years old.
Evan Slowinski, 2 years. Scott Adams, 3 years. Jeff Spielitz, 16 years, splits. Have Heath Darling, 17. James Riley, 4 years. John Petton, 9 years. Petty. Rick Tetzworth, 21 years. Daniel Rick, 2 years. Scott McCula, 2 years. And Brian Moore, 2 years. And then we have David Shands II, Josh Glass, Christopher Frankovic,
He's gonna beat you,
Steve
Jeff.
Schmally, Tanner Liston,
That's what I mean.
Sean
What
Taylor,
happened?
Don Petty, and Jamie Tabachka.
Yeah, before you sit down, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Did you check that deal on 1 Sophia Street there, you know, I was telling you about?
Yeah,
What is happening over there with that asphalt?
I believe there's probably some soft base right on the edge of that driveway, and the garbage trucks, as they're getting close, are depressing that, and it's kind of bubbling up, the asphalt that was next to that. I did go and look at it after you asked last time, and I had already spoke with the resident there.
Did ya?
They asked if they could remove that asphalt, and I said it was privately put there, so they were welcome to remove that.
What would be the solution?
The ultimate solution would be to replace the gravel base below it and then repave it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Mr. Samansky, do you have anything further?
No.
Mr. Cooper, do you have anything further?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I do. I have a list. No. I want to ask Mr. Taylor a question. At the meeting prior to our city council meeting, when you had the residents come in to talk about their unhappiness with the sewer backups in their basements, et cetera, you made a comment. You made the comment that we can't take money out of the enterprise funds. So it caused me to start thinking that's probably a dangerous thing. But a few years ago, when we had a really harsh winter, and we had a number of people, well, we had a citywide run water announcement that came out, and we had to run our water, and our water bills were adjusted. When you made that statement, it caused me to think about the fact that there was an adjustment on my water bill. So I'm just posing a question to you. Is there a way that we can adjust fees on the sewer portion of water bills if we wanted to go that route for any reason?
Oh, I'm not certain. I'd have to look into that. And who would those be adjusted? Who would be adjusted? The people that reported flooding?
Correct. People
Possible.
that
Thank you.
Flame?
Thank you, Mr. Schmansky. I was gonna finish that. But yeah, that was my intent of asking for that.
I can look into that and get an answer.
Thank you.
Good.
Nothing.
Okay. I would like to apologize if I offended anybody tonight. I'm pretty, have a lot of flexibility when it comes to running a meeting. I feel we need to run it according to the agenda so that we can get through it in a timely manner and get our business taken care of. With that, I have nothing.
Well, if I could
Sure.
add, I think I have an answer to Council, or Mayor Pro Tem's question. The city attorney just had a thought that we can't. It's his position, I'll let him expand on it.
But you can't use public money for a private purpose. If the city was liable for the sewer backups, that might be a different issue. But if the city is not liable for those sewer backups, we can't take public monies and help, no matter how much we have sympathy for their situation, we can't use that public money to help these homeowners in their time. It's just not legal.
Well, I think we're gonna have to be creative to help them work through this problem, because even though I understand that we're not liable for it, that's what that you've stated, and you said it pretty well. It's just a huge burden, and I think it would be a wise move for us to try to see what we could do in a creative way.
Well, one of the things that we've done is that we have expended monies from our trash fund, or refuge fund, for additional pickups for those affected places where we're covering the cost to dispose of that. So, I mean, that's something we have done that we weren't obligated to do. So it's not that we have done nothing. We have done something, and we've also investigated each and every reported complaint and given some recommendations.
Okay, here's my second question. I think we could take going forward, a futuristic approach. I mean, we can't predict the future that we won't have another one of these. We can't cover every possible situation. But I know on your homeowner's insurance that you can get that added on your homeowner's insurance. I don't know why we can't advise or recommend by a letter from the city to the condo associations that they should remind their residents that that they have that option on their homeowner's insurance to insure for that, and that it's a good idea to do it. We can find other public ways, I'm sure, to remind the public that that's something they should look into. It's because even if it didn't happen to me or to one of my neighbors, it could happen somewhere down the road. So it's just a great idea to double check at this point.
We can try to push that out.
Okay.
Anything else? I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
You got it.
Motion adjourned. We're adjourned.